Nothing but slow jams coming through the speakers right now. Pandora got you heated right now.
What's up, everybody? It's Slowjams4life, and this is another episode of Loving R&B. This is a show where I invite guests on, and we just have regular conversations about R&B. Today, I have a guest with me who goes by the name of KP. He's a music producer, but I really don't like to give labels because I feel like it puts you in a box. I'll just say he's a producer, but he's also a father, which I think is something to be proud of. What's up, KP?
What's going on, man? It's wonderful to be here, man. I have much respect for you, and I look forward to having some fun. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. It was definitely a pleasure to have KP on here because this is like a new space for me as far as like creating content. So I came up with this idea maybe like a couple weeks ago, and usually I procrastinate on ideas. Like I have so many ideas that I just sit and procrastinate, but with this one, I just feel like it could be something. So I told myself like, let me start DMing people and just kind of put the pressure on myself. So that's what I did. I DM some people and they started responding like, oh, that's a great idea. Like I would love to be on. And now I'm just like, it's go time now. It's like, there's no turning back. So we finally got it done. And I wanted to have KP on because he's very instrumental in as far as like my career, I would say, giving me the confidence and making me realize that this Slow Jams for Life thing could be something. I don't know exactly what yet, but I know there's a lane for me. And just how we connected, it was basically through Instagram. I reached out to him via Instagram and he sent me his music. He was like, yo, I'm at this album I came out with, R&B album. And he was like, you should check it out. And I checked it out and it was dope. And then from then on, more than anything, we just kind of built a relationship. And personally, I call him a friend, somebody I could call, talk to, just on a personal level. And so it was important to have him on. I know I'm got a long-winded answer, but basically what I'm saying is when I reached out to him, I asked him, I was like, hey, I would love to come to the studio and just vibe and check out some music because I'd never been to the studio before. And it was just kind of like on a whim. I didn't know if he was going to say yeah or not. And to my surprise, he said yeah. And then he was like, are you in Atlanta? I was like, nah, I'm in Cali. He was like, all right, next time I'm in Cali, I invite you over. And I didn't really think nothing of it because, you know, people give you the runaround all the time, but he really did reach out to me. And that really meant a lot to me because, like I said, up to that point, nobody knew what I looked like. They didn't know, you know, if I was a female or a male, like they didn't know. And the fact that he opened his studio up to me and let me come and just vibe with him, that really meant a lot to me. And then also it really lit the fire under me. It made me realize this Slow Dance for Life could be something. So sorry for the long story, but I say all I have to say, like, I really appreciate what he's done for me, even if you don't know like what he's done for me, but just for my confidence and just, you know, just all around. So I appreciate you for coming on and doing it.
I appreciate you, bro.
We're gonna get into some questions now. We're just gonna have fun and talk R&B.
Let's get it.
Oh, you know what, man? I didn't even ask you the introduction question. Tell me your name, your age, and where you're from. We didn't even get into that.
KP, 38. I'm from Florida, Tampa, to be exact. I claim as well because that's where all my family is at. So, and I spent a lot of time in Orlando. That's where everything got started for me musically. So it's like another home for me. I guess I can say second home, but it's really more tied with like a first home as well.
Okay. The first question I usually like to ask, when did you fall in love with R&B?
Man, music has been around me since a little boy. I couldn't even tell you an age. My dad playing Boys to Men, Michael, Prince, Temptation, Gap Band. I mean, playing all kind of stuff. So I kind of just grew up around it as early as I can remember.
Okay, so do you remember the first R&B album that you ever bought or somebody bought for you?
Yes, I bought it myself. It was a Christmas present. It was a Jodeci, Diary of a Madman. You know, me and you were just talking about that, you know, recently.
Yeah. I made a post, I think a couple days ago, where I put like the best and worst albums from certain artists, and Jodeci was on there. So he was on my head about my selections. But Jodeci have a lot of great albums, so it was kind of debatable. I was like torn between the first and second album, but Diary of a Mad Band was your favorite. So do you have a
Mhm.
favorite song from that album?
Growing up, it would have been Fiendin' because that was the more commercial song. But as my ears start to mature and grow musically, My Heart Belongs to You, hands down, it's probably my favorite song from them. Period.
Yeah, Jodeci, they have like a bunch of great records, and album cuts are just as good as the singles. So
Yeah.
for sure, a great album. All right, so when it comes to great R&B albums, can you give me your top three favorite non-skip albums? Or they don't even have to be your favorite, just three non-skip albums
Yeah,
that.
I can't say my favorite, but I'll say The Dream, and I'm gonna lump both of the Dreams albums together, first and second. I'm gonna say 100% Genuine because that album was just amazing. R. Kelly TP2.com. There's so many I can name, but R. Kelly TP2.com. I know folks ain't really feeling R. Kelly right now, but I mean that album was undeniable.
Yeah, they gonna come for you in the comments. They're like, what? Nah, man, I agree. Like, you can't debate his catalog.
Yeah. Like
So
I don't stand for none of the stuff that he was doing. Me personally, I don't even listen to the music anymore. Like I'm one of those I couldn't separate and still support him and still give him his streaming money and stuff. But I could still acknowledge his greatness, you know what I mean?
yeah, I'm the same way. I don't post them on my page, but it's because I don't listen to them anymore. Like, so it's just like, I mean,
Yeah,
no need for me to post them. But like I say, I don't knock anybody that still listens to him. And like I said, you can't take away from his greatness. So, but for sure,
exactly.
those are some great ones. If you had to make an R&B group consisting of four people, who would be in that group?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a good question. Four people. Let me see. I'm gonna choose Wanye, Boys to
Oh,
Men.
okay.
I'm gonna let him kill the ends of the songs and kill the bridges and stuff. Chris Brown to lead the songs. Uh, that's a really good question.
So we got Chris Brown, we got Wanye. You gonna throw any females in there?
Jasmine Sullivan.
Oh yeah, that's
I
good.
love Jasmine. And dang, that's so tough. Jasmine Sullivan. Who else?
You just gonna do three? We can just leave it at three.
Yeah, let's leave it with them three right there. I would literally have to pull out a pen and paper to try to write that answer down because I'm thinking musically like who can compliment who. So that answer really came on top of the head. And I don't even know if it musically would sound right, but those are the three that came to my head.
I think it's a little harder for you because you're a producer. So
I'm
you probably,
thinking way too much.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you probably like, all right, who gonna kill the bridge? Who gonna, so for sure. All right, we'll leave it at those three. So I do these posts all the time on my page where I got 10 slow jams everybody should know. And
Mhm.
sometimes people agree or disagree. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, but I'm gonna just say, just give me three slow jams that you think everybody loves.
D'Angelo, how does it feel? I'll make love to you, Boys to Men. Either that or a bended knee. This is gonna be a left field, but I love this record because when I first heard it, nah, man, another record just came to mind. So I'm gonna go with this one, John Legend. What is it called? All of you,
All of me,
man.
yeah.
All of me. Yeah, yeah, all of me.
So that's one of them records. Like, man.
Timeless records.
What was the other one you was thinking?
I was thinking of Major. This is why I love you.
Yeah, he on his
Ooh.
wedding.
When I
His
first
wedding.
heard that, yeah, I feel like you can't go wrong with wedding songs that are done really, really well. A good song should pull out emotion out of you. I'm saying it should make you feel like you're that person. It should make you feel like you want to be in that situation, you know what I mean? Or make you go back to when you were in that situation. So when I first heard that song immediately, I was like, oh, this is one of the ones, you know. And it's still that's a timeless record, just like the John Legend.
Yeah, for sure. I like those songs, so I can't argue with those. So I'm curious to see what the people think. But you already know somebody gonna disagree.
They always
Yeah.
gonna disagree.
What's an R&B song or artist that somebody put you on to that you're thankful for?
My brother, Raheem Devon. What's crazy is as much as we worked together, I wasn't the biggest Raheem Devon fan. I was a casual listener, like, oh, I hear a song on the radio, it'd be like, oh, okay. You know, I'm not gonna name any artists, but you know, you hear them songs on the radio, you be like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like that. But you don't dig into the discography like that. And my brother just kept saying, "You need to work with Raheem Devon. You need to work with Raheem Devon." I'm like, bro, I'm telling my brother, like, I don't have access to get to whoever I want to, especially at that time, And one day I was in the barbershop and I heard Bulletproof for the first time. And I thought it was Marvin Gaye. And I remember my barber was edging up my beard and everything. And when I sat up, I said, "Man, hey, this like a newer Marvin Gaye." Did they come? He was like, "This ain't Marvin Gaye, this Raheem Devon." And then it just blew my mind. I called my brother, like, "I'm sold." And then he started telling me what to go listen to. And ironically, a week or two after this, Raheem reaches out to me about a beat that was sent to him that wasn't sent from me. It was sent from one of my boys, our Chris. And that's how the whole thing started. And I was like, wow. So we talking 2012 or so. So I just started digging into his music and I was like, this nigga is amazing. So I'm thankful for my brother for putting me on to him.
Wow. So that randomly happened. He just sent you a DM, like
Nah,
randomly?
he called me. I was at work. I was still working at the time. And he called me. He had an LA number. And it must have been about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, my time. And I go in the office and I pick it up like, "Hello? Hey, what's up? This Raheem Devon. Hey, I just got some of your beats and da 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 da." And he has this whole pitch for me about working with him and what's the numbers looking like. And if I work with him on the numbers, he promised me he'll always keep me involved. And that's one of the people that I consider my brother. And he never lied to me about something he said he was going to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that all happened within like a couple weeks apart from each other.
That's dope. For those watching who don't know, that they got albums together. So
Yeah.
I think it's dope that how y'all connected. And yeah, shout out to your brother for putting you on to
Yeah.
Raheem. Well, I had this question written down, but I kind of want to switch it up. I had what was the hardest part about being a producer,
Mhm.
but I think I want to know more so for the people out there, like upcoming producers. What's some advice that you can give them starting out that maybe you wish you knew or something like that?
My first one is not even advice for just producers. It's just general advice that you should just know, period. And that's treating people how you want to be treated, not trying to just work with them for the sake of trying to get ahead and trying to use people. Just really just treat people how you want to be treated. Network across. Don't always try to network up. I see these producers that don't have no resume at all, haven't worked with anybody, but saying they saving this beat for Drake and they saving this beat for Beyonce and they're saving this beat for such and such. And it's like there's somebody in your city right now that's killing it that y'all could be working together right now, but you keep trying to bypass that person to get to the top. We all want to get to the top and get to the number one person that's out right now, because those people that are across from you one day are gonna be up and y'all can grow together and come up together. Don't worry about the money right off the top. Of course, we all want to live off this, but if you go into every situation thinking money, 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 it ain't gonna work out that way for you. It's just not. Understand the business. This is a business first. Have a team around you. It's so much. I could be going on forever, but
Yeah.
yeah. But just try to be genuine in everything you do, and that's what I try to do. And you're gonna get burnt sometimes, and some people are not gonna appreciate you, and they're gonna look past you and show love to the next person. But you don't do that for that, You just do it to be genuine, you know what I mean? And that's how you gonna continuously get blessed.
Yeah. What's your top 3 favorite R&B songs that you produced?
Ooh, Devin Culture, No Conversation. It's my favorite. I have a lot. Love Around the Clock with Raheem Devon and Guapole. I just love how that record came out. Third, um, Lewis Sky. What's the name of that song? One of my
Is there
favorites. What's the name of the song? I got it. It's called Invested. I'm tripping. Those are my
okay?
three of my favorites. That's what I'll say. Three of my favorites.
Okay, so it kind of like segues into my next question because you don't know this, but I have this written down. I have songs written down that I want to ask you about because I
Mhm.
just be liking to know like the backstory, just how like songs were created.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I was actually telling you about this. I was like, man, you got to start doing a behind the scenes content, get that out there because people want to know. But so this is for me personally. I just want to know. The first song on here was one of the songs you mentioned, No Conversation with
Mhm.
Devin Culture. Can you tell me about that song, like how that song came about?
I was working on my first album, and Pretty much the album was done. I just needed one more song, and I didn't know what that song was, but I was like, I'm still missing that one song. And I was on my way to a funeral. I was driving down to Florida, and I was listening to beats like I always do. And I came across that beat. The song was put out in 2019. The beat was made in like 2016. And I text Troy Taylor, and shout out to Troy Taylor. I text him and say, hey, do you think Devin will get on this record? And Troy is very, very tough. He has a tough ear. He likes it. You know, you got something. And Troy was like, this is very dope. I'm going to send this to him. And that's when I knew. I was like, I was nervous to even send the beat because I was like, I knew I loved it, but I didn't know what Troy, because Troy could be the one that said, no, I'm not sending it to him, or yes, I will send it to him. And I didn't hear anything for like a couple weeks, months maybe. And I was just kept checking in on Devin. And then one day he called me. Me and my lady were at the crib watching Scandal. And he called me and he said, hey, he called me on FaceTime and he played it. He played like the first verse verse and the hook. And as soon as it dropped, I was like, I was like, oh, this could be something. And he was like, man, what you think about that, bro? And I was like, bro, finish that. Finish it. So for like the next 2 months, maybe, I kept telling him to finish. I went to one of his live shows, and after the show, I was like, finish the record. Like I just kept telling him, finish it. Finally, he finished it, and he sent it to me, and it was done. It was just incredible. You know what I mean? Him and Breland wrote that record together, so not amazing.
Yeah, that's a dope record. I would say that's one of my favorite R&B records that you produce. And I remember when I first heard it, I think I don't know if I was on Devin Culture yet, but I remember you telling me to check out the album, man. If I remember correctly, that's like the first song on there, is it? Or like,
Yeah, after
okay,
the intro, yeah.
yeah. So I heard it, I was like, man, this song is really good. I don't know if you know this, but I used to DJ at a strip club.
Mm-hmm.
And because I would always play R&B. I would play the fast songs, but usually girls want to dance to a fast song first and then a slow song 2nd. Mm-hmm. So this song gives me that vibe of the strip clubs. So I'm like, yeah, I know if I was still DJing, I already know what this song will be doing up there. So yeah, thank you for that song. It's one of my favorites. The second song I have on here is Love Songs, and it's featuring Raheem Devon.
So I was working on Love, Lust, Vulnerability. I wanted to do something different. We worked together so much. I try not to give him the same stuff all the time. I collabed with my boy Leon Typold and wanted to give it a old school, like Bootsy Collins type feel, but still with Raheem's touch. Raheem took forever to record that song. If you know me, I'm very aggressive when I want something. So I would text him all the time, call him. If he went live on Instagram, I'll be in Instagram. I'll be like, I want my song. Where's my record? And he kept saying, like, I got the idea. I just need to lay it down. I got the idea. People that know or don't know, he doesn't write. So he'll just go in there and go off the top of his head about what he's hearing. But he's like, I got the idea. I just got to just go in there and lay it down. What I love about working with him is that he treats every record like it's his record. So there was no horns on the record at all. And he hit me up. Was it horns on the record? Yeah, nah, he's the one that told me to put the horns on the record. He said, yo, you should put some horns on this. You know, so I reached out to my guy, Amnesia James, you know what I'm saying? And he threw the horns on there. And then he was like, we need a bridge too. And we threw the bridge, more horns on the bridge and everything. And he just really like went and took it and the mixing phase just took it and made it his own. You know what I mean? So, but I love that record as well.
Y'all have great chemistry. I don't think I've heard a bad song yet from y'all. So, I mean, I love when y'all work together and y'all putting out music. So that's definitely dope.
I begged him for like years to drop an album with me. Like, bro, let's just do an album. We had so many songs together. Let's just do an album. And he would just kind of ignore it. And I thought he was ignoring it. And then one day he called me during the pandemic, like 5 o'clock in the morning. And he's always working. So he was playing me a song. I was so out of it, I didn't even recognize the beat. I was like, okay, that's a cool song. Who did the beat? And I started thinking about like, oh, that's my record. And then he was like, let's do the project that you've been talking about. By this time, I hadn't said nothing in about a year or so. So I was like, oh, you ready? And I take that seriously. Like every album is like my little baby. So from that moment on, I was in album mode. That's all I was thinking about, album mode. So I'm glad that we got to this point now to where we're doing multiple projects now. We're talking about doing other things together.
Yeah, that's dope. If you haven't had a chance to check that album out, please do. And I don't really just give people props just because they're in front of me. I really listen to the album, and if I like it, I'm gonna tell you. Like I remember when I heard it, I was texting you. I was like, "Yo, bro, I like this part. The new album that you guys got out,
Love Euphoria.
We Love Euphoria. Yeah, man, that's another great album. Who's the other person on it with y'all?
Vandale Andrew.
Vandale Andrew, man. That album is. So, quick little story. I wasn't really into jazz. Like, I'm just now getting it. Like, growing up, I was never really into jazz. But as you get older, you start hearing things differently. And now, when I be hearing the jazz, I'm like, man, that thing's a vibe. So the fact that y'all combine that with the R&B, it was just like, man, it was. Yeah, I'll be playing that thing in the gym, listening to. I texted. I was like, yo, I'm listening to this in the gym. I want to ask you about "Love Around the Clock." Featuring Guapale and Raheem Devine.
So on that record, the beat was done my first year I moved to 2017. Me and my boy Joe Millionaire, we did the beat. Raheem said, yo, I need something for that I can put Guapale on. And I was like, all right, cool. We did the beat. Nothing ever came from it. And then maybe like a year or so later, he sang the hook and was like, because he wrote the whole song, but at the time he had just did the hook. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to get Guapale to re-sing this part, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, all right. And then she did it, but he never sent it to me. So I remember him tagging me in the stories with them in the studio, but I just never heard the record. And when me and Vandale started working on our project, because the project was supposed to be just me and Vandale Andrew, and then we ended up bringing in Raheem because he was the one that introduced us. So it felt like it was only right for us to just do one together, all three of us. So I brought it back up like, yo, whatever happened with the record with Guapale? And he sent me the record, and that's when I heard. By this time, I heard the whole song, but the whole song was sang by Raheem. Then when I heard it again, last year sometime, now it's everybody was on there now, and I heard it. Then I just went back in and some changes and stuff. But that's one of my favorite songs that I've ever done. It just the feel, the vibe of it, it just came together amazing. I really love it.
Yeah, that's a great record. I remember when I saw Guapale on there, I'm like, man, Guapale? Like, I think she's one of them underrated artists. People know Closer. That's her most successful song, but like she really has a great catalog. But if you're not really tapped in to the R&B, you probably don't know. So it was nice to see her on there. It just sounds good. Just the whole vibe. Like I like R&B that puts me in that vibe. And I don't know. I feel like we kind of have similar tastes in R&B. Like we like a lot of the same music. So
yeah, that's why, you tell me, check this person out. I'll go listen to them. I'm like, I trust your ear. I like a lot of the stuff that you like. So I would agree to.
Yeah, thank you. I remember you wrote a comment on my page one time. You was like, man, your ears is A1. And I was like, man, thank you. Coming from you. I was like, man, that means a lot. This last song, this is a curveball. It is not even an R&B song, but I recently found out that you produced this song by Mano called Get Up Tight. And I wanted to ask you about that song because I used to DJ at a strip club. So I would play this song in the strip club. And I still like this song to the day. Like when it came out, it was just like Tiger Woods was going through his thing. I don't know. I heard that song. It was just like a crazy song. But I always vibe to the song. And I didn't know until probably this year or last year that you produced it. I don't know how I found out, but you told me, it's like, yeah, I produced that. I was like, what? Or maybe, I saw it on YouTube. Yeah, I saw it on the video. Yeah. Okay. So tell me about that record and how that came about.
Man, I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name. Hills. I'm sorry. So Hills, this guy named Hills hit me up and said, yo, I need some beats for Mano. At the time, Mano had just did All of the Above and I forget his main single, the first one that came out, but All of the Above was like the big one. So I was like, all right, I don't really listen to his music, but I've seen some stuff and I sent him some records, some beats. And one day my phone was just blowing up. And At the time I was working, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So they was calling me at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So I was just out of it. And finally I kept seeing my phone light up and buzzing by my ear. I answered and they were like, yo, Mano's about to record to the record. Give me the stems. And I don't know anything about business at the time. So I'm like, I'm getting up trying to send stems, something I wouldn't do right now, depending on the situation, but more than likely I wouldn't do. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I didn't hear the record or anything like that. I'll skip past all that stuff and I'll just get to when I finally heard the record, and I heard it on the radio. It's my first radio record. And I was getting calls from people in New York, mainly New York, because, you know, that's where he's from. So I was getting a lot of calls from people in New York, Cali, all over the place playing this record. And it was my first, you know, nice royalty check. Like, it was a big deal for me. Like, I remember cashing that first check. You know, it was my first big check ever. Cashing that check, and I got a whole bunch of ones. Can I get these in ones? And throwing it up in my little apartment and stuff. Man, I was so happy, man. That record was like, that's all I would listen to. Like, I would get in the car. I always listen to my own music. So I would just get in the car and just play it and just jam it. And it was just such a dope moment for me. You know what I mean? 2009, that's pretty much how I kicked off the Colleagues, was by pretty much getting my first major placement within like a couple months of starting the Colleagues. Like, it was the best feeling ever.
That's dope. It's so crazy because, like I said, how we connected. I didn't know you produced that record, but I remember that record, like playing it in the strip club. So it's interesting to kind of bring it full circle and kind of see how that record got created. And
Yeah,
talk to the guy who produced the record. So
I remember when you DM me that or text me, I forget which one it was, and you was like, I was just sitting there listening to YouTube, and I heard the Colleagues tag. I didn't know you did this, and I was like, wow. And it really, when you sent me that message, it made me go back and just started just thinking about all that stuff, the journey and everything I've been through from that moment to where we are now. It's something I don't take for granted. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that you're going to meet on this journey, a lot of people that's going to give up. And when you see yourself still going, still striving, still achieving, it's something that you may take for granted sometimes because you're steady looking for what's next. But that moment right there made me pause in my steps and be like, wow, you know, and kind of pat yourself on your back and just thank God of where you are at that present moment.
I met you probably like a couple years ago, but man, I could tell your trajectory is on the up and up, and I'm just excited to be on this journey with you. I won't share what we talked about, but I remember you saying like, man, if I produce this song for such and such, man, that'd be major. And I think you're gonna get that one day. So just
I
keep
want
being
that. I've always wanted that timeless, that record that's always played at the barbecue, that record that's always played in the arenas. You know what I'm saying? One of those type records. You know what I mean? I'm still fishing for it. You know what I mean? One of those timeless records that is going to get played 30 years from now. You know what I mean? I still want that. That's what keeps me going.
It's coming. It's coming for sure.
I respect that, bro.
All right. So we coming to the close, but before we get out of here, I wanna ask you, like, who's an R&B artist that you feel is underrated that deserves more recognition besides Devin Culture, because he for sure.
Devin just need to put out more music. That's what's, you know what I mean. But oh man, even though he's getting a lot of love, and I feel like his trajectory is steadily moving up, I'm gonna say Vito. I'll say Vito. I feel like his pen game is just insane. Vito has the full package, you know what I mean? I would probably lean towards him, but it's not saying that he's not getting love. Like, he's getting a lot of love. Like, I love his music so much that I felt like he should be getting even more love. Like, so yeah.
I caught on to Vito kind of late, probably like around when he came out with that song "You Got It." So I still got to go back and listen to. But I went to his concert. It was cool to see like the love that everybody was giving him.
I met Vito in 2016. We were both doing K-pop together, and he was writing my records in K-pop. And that's when he was like, yo, can you produce some records on my album? You know, he was dropping his albums. I was like, all right, cool. You know, you writing records for me. I'm bringing this up because it's an example of networking across and not trying to always network up. I basically worked with him because I was like, this dude is extremely dope. Pen game is crazy. Like, he's going to be one of them ones that take off. So now here it is, 2023. I get hit up all the time. People like, yo, put me down with Vito. Yo, I'm trying to work with Vito. I'm just like, I was trying to pull in some people back then to work with him. Like, yo, this dude Vito is dope. You know what I mean? So it's an example of what can happen if you just stay down and just keep working with people. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really happy for him. And I text his manager all the time, Ro, and I always text him like, bro, I'm so happy for y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. Just seeing the love that he's getting. But yeah, like between me and him, that goes back to 2015, 2016.
That's dope. Yeah, and it's important to say this again. People really don't understand the importance of relationships and just networking and not feeling like you bigger than somebody, even if you are at that moment. Like, you know, you never know. They could surpass you eventually or be the one that's going to hire you. And some people remember that.
It goes back to treating people how you want to be treated. Do you want to be passed up on? Do you want to be looked down on because you're not as big as them? No, you're going to remember that when someone treats you that way. But you will also definitely remember when someone showed you love and you felt like, you showing me love? Like imagine you, it doesn't have to be this high, but imagine you meeting Beyonce and she just takes the time out to hear you, to speak to you, to talk to you like you're a damn human and give you the opportunity, and they just have a casual conversation. That'll go a long way. So even with a artist that you admire, that you want to work with, and when they do that to you, you're going to remember that, you know what I mean? But you'll also definitely remember if they treated you the other way and was real mean and was rude and arrogant and stuff. So any conversation I enter, it ain't about bragging, it ain't about I got, because I feel like we all got the same amount of stuff. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm not bragging on none of that stuff. Well, even if you don't have any hits or in one record's place, you one record away from your life being changed and surpassing anything that I've done. So it's like, who am I to sit here and look down on you when you one record away from bypassing anything that I've ever done?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well said. So for this last part, I want to play a little game, and I'm gonna just give you two options, and then you just tell me which one you like better: Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston.
Whitney.
Whitney, without hesitation. Whitney.
No hesitation at all.
All right. 112 or Jagged Edge?
Jagged Edge.
Why Jagged Edge?
I love their songs more. I mean, 112 was dope, but Jagged Edge, I just feel like I connected with their records a little bit more. I feel like just the whole package of what they came with, I like a whole lot more.
Okay. Joe or Donnell Jones?
Joe. Joe's pen game is crazy. I don't know if Donnell writes his records like that, but I know Joe. Joe is nice. Joe got some Donnell has some classic records too, but Joe, hands down.
Now for this last one, I was gonna say Usher or Chris Brown, but I feel like I know you're gonna say Usher. Am I right with that?
Keep going.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just switch it up. Chris Brown, Pop It, or Chris Brown, Take You Down.
Poppin'.
Which one you like popping better? Why popping?
The beat, the hook, I love that hook more. I mean, that hook just was dope. That's one of his older songs, but it still goes today. I still have it on my Chris Brown playlist.
Yeah, I agree. I like popping better. I like Take You Down too, but poppins, that was like a moment. Yeah, that's basically it. This is the whole show. But before I go, I just want to say thank you for doing this again. Like, I really appreciate this more than you know. So at this moment, I like to just give you the floor. If there's anything you want to promote or any words of encouragement you want to leave. And I say that because I think you have a way with words. Like, I like how you think and stuff. So if there's anything you want to say before you go, I'm going to give you the floor, and then I'm going to sign off, and then I'm going to end it like that.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for having me, brother. First and foremost, I got a new album coming out in August. It's not going to be R&B, though. It's going to be rap. But I still always intertwine some of it in there. You know what I mean? But I guess I would just leave everybody with stay true, keep working hard, no matter what it looks like. Keep going and understand that your time is coming. That's kind of basic, but I just keep it there.
Yeah, well said. And he's a little humble. Like, he don't really like to brag much. He just released a new single with Mr. Fab. Is it going to be on your album?
Yeah, that's going to be on the album too. New
Yeah,
record with Mr.
called Wet.
Fab. Wet.
Yeah, it's called Wet. I told him this. It kind of reminds me of that old hyphy. If you're from the Yay area, Bay Area, you know about that, the hyphy movement.
I'm hoping I can get a remix out there
Yeah.
with Too Short. I told you already, but you know, Too Short was supposed to be on that, and it didn't work out, timing reasons. But I'm hoping to get him on for the remix. But I love the hyphy stuff back in the day. Even though I'm from Florida, I still love the whole hyphy movement. And Fab, man, is just incredible. We working on a project as well. But yeah, Wet.
Yes. Check that out, y'all. For sure.
Yeah.
This is the sign off part, and I'm gonna need help with this one. Like I like to sign off, and I have this thing on the page. If you follow the page, you know I'm promoting this justice.
Wizzy wow.
You already know where it's coming. So like this is just something that just happened. Usually when I do stuff, it's always strategic for the most part. But I posted this song on a page and people hated this song. And when I first posted it, I didn't like it either. So it was kind of like a joke. And then somebody was like, man, stop posting that song. And usually when people tell me to stop doing something, I'm always going to double down and do the opposite. So I made it my mission to make this Wizzy Wow relevant. So a long-winded answer to say, I sign off by saying, this is Slowjams for Life, Wizzy Wow. And I'm going to need KP to say,
Wizzy wow.
yes, sir.